talking about different systems that involve multi-agents, okay? And I don't know where to start, so let's go alphabetically. For example, ant colonies, I mentioned that they find the shortest path. For example, there is a food, nest, and obstacle. They would choose the shorter path because they are leaving trails of pheromones that are evaporating, and the shorter distance means more ants per time. It means more pheromones, it means more favorability, so you get this one. So this paper, in this paper, they apply this algorithm to solve trailing salesman problem, and you can compare, you have these comparisons with genetic algorithm. Do you see? They are comparable. Okay. I don't know if it's faster or slower or whatever, but this is one kind of multi-agent model. Let's look at another, bird flocks. Okay. This paper has more than 9,000 citations. The other one has more than 2,400. So it's a very simple model that tries to simulate flocks by the following things, like collision avoidance, of course, right? Velocity matching, attempt to match velocity with nearby flock mates, and flock centering, attempt to stay close to nearby flock mates. And if you put just these three elements, you get this kind of
flocking simulation.
Actually, so for example, this is one of them, and they are avoiding this thing. If you put many, they will organize themselves into a flock. This is not my mouse. This is. So let me also try to.
So they try to match their velocity and stay close to
Yes.
each other at the same time.
Yes,
So
and they're
far away and they match their velocity. How do they get close to each other?
If they accidentally get close together, I mean.
So it's random.
Yes. Do you see that when they are alone, they randomly switch their direction, etc.
So it's like below some critical distance.
Yes, yes, yes. And let's see what happens next. Then this person actually tries switching off some interactions. For example, if you switch off the velocity matching, then they lose their direction, etc. Do you have any questions? So I will show you different models. What else? Okay. For example, related to this fact, I want to show you two papers. One of them is this one. All these papers, by the way, are excellent projects. Anyone who doesn't have project, you don't have project, do you? You are going to do together. Who doesn't have project? Yeah. So you can see that actually when you change some parameter at certain value, just like in the spin case, the Ising spin, do you remember? At some point, these animals organize, and they have more than zero average velocity. So there is some parameter. If you below some critical value, they have certain velocity. Above, they don't have. Okay, what else? For example, this kind of approach, with this kind of approach, you can actually simulate dynamical features of escape panic. What happens when people panically escape from somewhere like this? Yes. And as far as I remember, for example, putting some obstacles in front of the exit actually helps. But just check it out, okay? It's out there. You can see that you can publish Nature with such things, and it's good. What else? Are you following, or am I going too fast? You are following. Another thing, uh, I mean, there are these videos of biological organisms that just leave a mark on you. This is one of them. So this is a cellular slime mold. Have you heard of this guy? This is basically lots and lots of amoebas, okay? And at some point, they will start signaling with each other. Just watch these spirals forming. Do you see some spirals and waves? No? They are sending signals to each other that, okay, it's time for us to come together, okay? And exactly like Terminator 2. I mean, it's not even a bit different, okay? Like, they come together and they make this. These guys don't have brains. These are single-celled organisms. They come together, and this spiral movement actually keeps going, and that actually helps the whole thing move to some places. Uh, just watch for a little bit more and ask your question. So these are amoeba coming together, and there are some that are left behind. They are also smelling the signal and trying to reach it.
Are the small particles also?
No, the big ones. So the thing that you are seeing here are these like millions of amoebas moving together. You think that they are worms, but they are not. Can you see that they can merge? Do you see them merge? Okay, should I stop at this point and... Huh?
Please.
Yes.
Seems disgusting.
Ah, don't watch. Okay, so what happens next? These amoebas are hungry. They come together, and in this way they can move to further apart. And once they find a place, a suitable place, they will do something. So you can see that they can. Again, these are not worms. This is just lots and lots of amoebas coming together. Let's see what they do next.
Is it easy for them to move together?
Yes, it's just like in the bird flocks. When they come together, they get some directionality. So they can move together. Do you remember the others that were moving like this? So at some point, this phase ends, and they will form this fruiting bodies. Okay, do you see? They are forming these things that go up. And actually the amoebas over here die. They self-sacrifice themselves.
form the
Yes. And then these things at the top, they form spores. And sorry, is this that disgusting?
Maybe for me.
Yeah, okay. And this top will be the next generation. It will help for them to continue the next generation. So I want to show you a paper that actually can computationally show what's happening once they settle, like from here to here. Okay, the paper says that when they are starving, they aggregate to form multicellular migrating slug, which moves towards a region suitable for culmination. The culmination of the morphogenesis involves complex cell movements that transform a mound of cells into a globule of spores on a slender stalk. Okay, the movement has been likened to a reverse fountain, blah 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 blah. So far, however, no satisfactory explanation has been produced for this process. Using computer simulations, and only computer simulations, that we developed, we now demonstrate that the processes that are essential during the earlier stage of the morphogenesis are in fact sufficient to produce the dynamics of the culmination stage. So whatever the processes are beforehand, if you continue doing them, it actually self-organizes itself into this. This is simulation.
yeah, but they gave it defined rules there.
Yeah, and these rules are, there was some equation here, yes. This type of equation and some signaling chemicals probably. Just like we did in the computational morphogenesis part. Do you remember? Yes, the balls. This is, of course, much more relevant to real life. Okay. What else I wanted to show you? So sometimes, and what? Why is that funny?
Nature paper or something.
Yeah.
Simple things.
Yeah. So this rock paper scissors kind of sorry. So this kind of things are called cyclic domination. So we always think of some hierarchy in the ecological systems, like A, it's B, which it's C, right? But some people have suggested that maybe if C it's A, then you have this cyclic dominance that would preserve the diversity, because otherwise maybe all of the C would get eaten and nothing is left. But if it's cyclic dominance, then they will keep eating each other, but all of them will stay in some equilibrium. So this this paper has to do with that, and they are imagining three different. So, for example, here they say investigating three strains of cholecinogenic E. coli in different environments. It has been shown that cyclic dominance alone is not sufficient to preserve diversity. Okay, this is not the sentence that I was looking for. Okay. Anyways, the code is cool. So, can I explain the code instead of going into? So let's say you have 3 types, A, B, and C. And are you with me? Yes. Let's say a certain region has sum of SA, these are the number of or density of 3 organisms, and this is in the middle cell, and the other cells also have some other SA, SB, SC. Okay, so what we will have is the following. Sorry about this. So we will have this equation. Let me write it first and you tell me what's going on. What will this do? Diffuse, right? So all cells will diffuse to other places. Then I will have, let me remember from my code. Let me actually write down this code and then plus SA times mu times 1 minus rho and sigma. Okay, I see that's what matters. SB. Okay. There you go. So this is the diffusion part. Okay. Are you following? This rho is SA plus SB plus SC at any. So it's the total density. So, and what this term gives you, if you multiply it with SA, you will have reproduction, exactly. So you can see that it's plus SA, so it will increase the number of SA proportional to the number of SA. So it's a reproduction. However, it's limited by this 1 minus rho. So if that cell is already quite dense, then the SA will not be able to reproduce enough. I hope it's clear. And what is this minus this term when you multiply this one with this one? Gives you minus sigma times SA times SP. What is this? Decrease in SA because of interaction with B. Because B eats A. Do you agree? So if you keep writing these equations, it will be very similar. So this time you will have SB, 1 minus rho, minus sigma. What should be here? SC, right? Because C is B. And the same thing with C, but here it will be SA, right? SC, it's eaten by SA. So this code is actually, this code implements that, okay? And what do you expect when I run this? Just think about it. They are all diffusing while eating each other. A eats B, B eats C, C eats A. Spirals, right? So if I run this, no, this runs ugly. Do you want me to explain the code? Yes. So once they settle into spirals. Do you see? Are you happy? And this paper says that, this Nature paper says that mobility, which is in our case the diffusion, promotes and jeopardizes biodiversity. Okay? It promotes and jeopardizes at the same time. So it promotes because that way you have diffusion and you have the spirals emerge. But why jeopardizes? If you have too much diffusion, so let's increase the diffusion twice, and I will decrease dt by 2 to not get some problems. Just tell me what happens with the spirals. Are there less spirals now? Yes? So keep increasing d. Let's make it 5. And I will run it faster. Oh no. We already hit, no, we have these 2 spirals, right? Do you see them? Will they also, so unless you have spirals, you will keep having biodiversity. Like you will keep having all these together, both A, B, C together, right? But once you hit 10, for example, here, let's make it 10. Then the spirals eat each other without forming, or they form and eat each other, and you are left with a sad ending. Everything covered in one species only. Yes, they were all equal. Yes, what's your point? No, but hasbel kader. So one of them, by accident, or yes, it's so this time blue wins. Let's run it again. I hope this time it's some other color. Yes, yes.
So what we changed was we changed mobility, right?
We changed mobility.
So they reached to one place to another more quickly.
Yes. Can we try to understand why? So I think it makes the spirals are forming with larger arms if the diffusion is higher, and they are basically not fitting the space. That's the problem. The simulation ended, but let me continue this. Again, blue wins. So I will do it again. Maybe it's all defected algorithm.
Is the initial conditions are random here also?
Yes, the initial conditions are random.
So it depends on initial conditions.
Yes, yes, exactly.
So,
Blue is going to win again?
yes, but why?
Let's see. Blue wins again.
There are some traces in the
But I'm sure that this is just an accident. Let me run it again. By the way, since I remembered, there are also papers by Robert May. Do you remember him from Logistic Math? He had other nature papers, if you remember. One of them, for example, concerns playing prisoner's dilemma in in a 2D lattice. Like what happens? So he changes some parameters. You can read this paper if you want. There are some patterns that remind me of carpets from Karabakh, maybe, right? See what happened? Despite the diffusion constant, they happen to form. Sometimes this also happens. Okay, let's run it again. Then it will keep there. But so I think they have to clarify the statement that it has to do with the size of the zone they are living in, right? No spirals. Okay, I will not run it again. Do you have any questions in general for today's lecture, living together? So to sum up, you can find interesting features in different, like birds, ants, societies, people's walking, and all this can be modeled by multi-agent modeling. Okay, and it might not. You should not. In the breaks, someone asked me about a certain culture, why that culture is that way, etc. You cannot build a model to explain some culture. You build a model, you get some features from the model, then you look at the cultures and look where they fit. You don't go the other way around. Okay, it's not possible to predict what will happen with the culture, and it has to do with the things that we talked about in the first class, in the first lecture, about the loops. So the loops, the interaction between the individuals and the societies that those individuals make. Do you remember that you lose the cause and effect there? Cause becomes effect, effect becomes cause sometimes. Hmm? Yes. Okay. If no questions, we can stop here. Do you have a question? Yes.
You showed the paper with the carbon dioxide. Did they actually solve it, or did they solve it? Because I know it's.
Yeah. No. Yes, it's MP hard. They have this satisficing solution again. I can show you. So optimum is 420, right? They reach at optimum for 30 city problem, but and also they reach at optimum for 50 city problem. Also for 75 city problem. I don't understand. Do they get optimum always? Yeah, from this picture, it seems like they got the optimum each time, but it's not possible. They can't guarantee that they will get the optimum solution. But this is nice. I didn't know this result. I didn't realize. Maybe these are the averages. So let's see. We report the best integer tour length, the best real tour length, and the number of tours required to find the best integer tour length. Okay, they know what is the best, and then they watch how many runs needed to reach there. But I don't know what they mean by tour length. No, there is this integer tour length. What that means? That I didn't understand. That's why I didn't. So, for example, here it's not applicable. I don't know. So we need to read it properly. Any other question? Thank you all.